Okay, so today we're going to be talking about multiplying powers with the same bases. The objective for today is to multiply powers with the same bases. In A1.4.1, we're still in there, we're still working with exponents. Again, we're going to be doing a lot of that through this chapter. Okay, so the first property we're going to look at is the multiplying powers with the same base. So we're going to be adding and adding and adding. So we've already talked about this negative exponents and the zero exponents. So now what we're saying, same bases. So we have to dissect this. You have to understand that the a in this case is your base. M and the n are your exponents. Okay, so we sometimes have the problem of referring to the exponents as the powers. The entire thing here is the power. Okay, so we're actually talking about powers of these two things. If that happens, we add the exponents. Okay, we don't multiply the a's, it just stays the same. So if I said x to the second times x cubed, then it gets x2 plus 3. So we only write the base once, and that gives us x to the fifth. Now why that works is because x squared, if you remember doing expanded form, we would have written x times x. And then x cubed, you would have written x times x times x. So now when you look at it, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's. That's why we get x to the fifth. Okay, so that's kind of the why it happens. So you got to remember, don't write the x more than once. Don't write 5x to the fifth. It's just x to the fifth. Same things with numbers as we go. Just because it's sometimes numbers in there, it doesn't change the problem. So here I have same basis, so I can do this. If they weren't the same, then you couldn't do anything. So I'm going to write 12, 4 plus 3, so I'm adding the exponents. That gives me 12 to the seventh. Now as we get farther along, we'll probably say, hey, we want you to simplify that. For right now, we just say, just leave it. Okay, we're just going each base only once. Okay, this problem here, part B, gets a little more confusing because now we have parentheses, and again, we keep talking about that. Make sure you pay attention to that. The parentheses are included in the base. It's the parentheses -5 is the base. So I have that as being the same now. So I write -2 plus 7. So we're still adding, but since it's a -2, technically we're doing some subtraction. So we have -5, -2 plus 7 is a +5. So there's your power now. -5 to the fifth. Okay, so you're just adding, writing the base once. Okay, so example 2, go ahead and do that and check your answers here in a little bit. Alright, let's look at problem 2. Problem 2 says, what is simplified form of each expression? So we have 4z to the fifth times 9z to the -12th. Now we got a lot of stuff going on. And so like I tried to talk about earlier sections, you have to understand that this is not in parentheses, so it's not 4z all to the fifth. 4 is just to the first power, z is to the fifth. 9 is just to the first power, z is to the -12th. So what we want to do is some grouping. So I'm going to put 4 times 9 out front. So I'm going to group those together. And then I'm going to take z to the fifth times z to the -12th. That way I'm grouping same letters with same letters, numbers with numbers. Makes things so much easier than trying to do it as is in the problem. So I take 4 times 9, I get 36. And now I have z to the fifth, and then I'm going to add the -12. And go ahead and make it add the -12. So then I get, as I combine those, 12 minus 5 is really what it becomes. Again, it's kind of like a subtraction problem. You get z to the seventh, excuse me, and that should be a -7, which now makes this 36, and section 7.1 says we take that to the bottom as the positive exponent. making this our final result. Alright, so part B, same thing. So now we have three numbers. So I'm going to take the 2, the 9, and the 3. I'm going to write those out front. I'm going to take my A times my A squared, and then I'm going to take my B to the 4th. And I'm going to multiply these together. I'm going to get 2 times 3, which makes 6. I'm going to take 6 times 9, just a little easier. Gives me 54. Okay, I'm going to take my A, which gives me 1. Remember, this is a 1. There's nothing there, it's a 1. 1 plus 2. And then my B to the 4th. So I get 54 A cubed, and then B to the 4th. And there would be my final answer. No negative exponents, so I don't have to move anything. Okay, so got it, number 2. Go ahead and do that one as well. We'll check that here in a little bit. Let's look at problem 3. So we've been working with scientific notation in the previous lesson. So we're going to bring that back, and we're going to talk about some of the things I did in that section. I kind of worked ahead. But here we have 3 times 10 to the 5th. And then I have 5 times 10 to the negative 12. Now this is just like the previous problem. My numbers would be 3 and 5, and technically my bases, or my letters as we saw in the previous examples, would be the tens. So what I can do is I can group those together. I'm just going to take 3 times 5. And then I'm going to take times 10 to the 5 to the 5th power plus that negative 12. So I'm combining the tens because they're the same bases. Okay, 10 is the same base as this 10. Gives me 15 times 10 to the negative 7th in this case. So there we are with this problem. But it's not in scientific notation. So what I need to do is I need to change just the 15, the 1.5. Now to get it back to 15, I have to multiply it by 10 to the 1st. So in the previous lesson you saw me do this exact same thing. Now hopefully it makes some sense that the tens are same bases, so we add them together to get the 1.5 times 10 to now the negative 6. And that would be our end result in scientific notation. So again, you can go back and watch that video from scientific notation, see how I made that connection. But again, I was kind of pulling ahead of future knowledge. Okay, so got it, number 3. Go ahead and give that a shot, and again we'll check our answers, and you can ask tomorrow if you still have questions. Okay, so there's the answers to those key examples and got it's. If you have any questions on those, please let me know. Again, you can hit me up on Twitter or go to Edmodo, the discussion board. Make sure you're doing your Edmodo quiz. If you have any questions, be sure to ask me before you take the quiz tomorrow. All right? Have a good night.